Well, I just wanted to welcome everyone to this month's episode of Unleash Your Free Spirit. And we are joined by my co-host, Guinea Jolly, and she has a foundation called the Be Jolly Foundation, which um, helps children who have some challenges find useful employment and community, and it's a wonderful foundation. And I'm Judy Feldhausen. My company is Cardio Wellness Group, and I help people find joy in their health through natural methods. And we are joined today with a amazing guest, and I would like to have Guinea actually introduce our guest today, Keith Leon.
Absolutely. What a pleasure it'll be. We were talking before our meeting started. Keith, I remember meeting you in person at CEO Space in Florida. And the first time I remember I met you, you walked right up to me and you had a book in your hand. And you said, this book is, it is your walking and talking vision board. This is the best business card you can ever have. And when I asked you, what do you do? He says, well, I can write, I can help you create a book for you, which can be a great promoter for your business. And the best part is just 7 phone calls, 7 times you call me, and we have everything planned and everything. Uh, your book will be ready professionally, and that can help you to be the high end book business card for you. So I remember Keith and his beautiful wife, Maura Leon, from those times when we met in person. Now he's become extremely famous. He is internationally known, and as a film producer. His book, Inside Effects, is about how your body heals itself. And I think Keith will share more about it, how this book is being transformed into a movie. And I'm so proud of my friend Keith Leon, and I'm so happy. The lucky people are here to see us today and hear him talk. We were talking, there were more than 51 people who were registered, and the smart ones and the lucky ones took that hour and are here with us. So, Keith, floor is all yours. Tell us how we can get inspired by your journey and your story, and how we can become a better version of who we are.
All right. Well, thank you for that beautiful introduction. Yeah, they call me the book guy. That was the whole how we met so
Yes.
long ago at CEO Space. And
Mhm.
yeah, we are book publishers. We're a full service book publishing company, and still that do that to this day. But when I was thinking about the topic of the show, right, which is unleashing my free spirit, like when did that happen? And for me, my wife and I started our own business, and we wrote our first book together. And I didn't know all the things that Guinea just said. I didn't know that yet that book could get me on stage and get me media, and that I could use it literally as my business card. All of that. We had a book. We got John Gray to endorse our book on the front cover, but I didn't ask John, like, hey, what should I do with this? Like, how do I use this book to launch my business? I didn't get that mentoring. And so I had probably sold 12 copies of that book by the time I did my second book. And actually, coming off the first book, Seeming Failure, we did a online really cool project called 1 Million Love Notes. And I think we sold 112 love notes, not a million, 112. And so coming off of two seeming failures, and this leads right back into the question of the scariest thing I ever did. My wife and I were business partners. And she looked at me and said, I need to recover from these two seeming failures that we just had. So will you run the business? Will you just do it by yourself? And I said, sure. And then I thought to myself, well, how would I do it differently myself if I'm running the business than the way that we did it together. And the way that we did it together was, at that time, I was not Keith Leon, I was Keith who, right? Keith who? Like, who's that guy? Like had no success whatsoever. And when my wife and I were together, we really felt like we needed to connect with people that were more famous than us and kind of do a project with them, and that would lift us up. And the challenge with that, at least the energy of both of us together, was that we felt like we needed them to lift us up. So we were needy, right? And if someone's needy in your life, what do you want to do? You want to get away from them as quick as you can, right? You just want to get away from that energy. So at this point, before my wife asked me to kind of take over the business, I had been told no by all the greats, people you would know, Jack Canfield, Bob Proctor, the list goes on, right? Marcy Shimoff. I had been told no by all of them because I was needy. They could feel that energy and they were repelled by it. So when I really unleashed my free spirit was when I sat down and thought to myself, how will I do it if it's just me running the business? And what I got was, there was always a schedule with my wife. She'd schedule a to-do list, which felt really heavy and it felt like a big, like, to-do list. So I decided the way I would do it would be polar opposite. I might have a list of a few things I wanted to do, but I would set them aside every day and sit, ask, and listen. And this changed my life forever because I realized that a lot of people are sitting, right, meditating, asking questions, praying. A lot of people are asking for answers. But when do we really stay present in one question and one question only, the question we just asked, until we receive the answer to the one question? I was an entrepreneur. I was like, had shiny object syndrome. I would ask a question and I forget I asked it 5 minutes later. And then I wondered why God, Spirit, Universe, Angels wasn't giving me answers because I wasn't listening until I got the answer to the one question. So that's what I decided I would do every day. Just clear, sit, ask, listen. So in asking that, what's the next project I should do? I clearly got the title, Who Do You Think You Are? And the subtitle, Discover the Purpose of Your Life. It just downloaded into me from the ethers. And I wrote that down and now I had a title. And I said, okay, so is it just me supposed to be in the book? No. Okay, is it me and famous people? Yes. Oh boy, here we go. Again, been told no by all the greats so many times. But this would be different. So my next question was, how do I ask these people to be in a book with me? And I sat and I breathed and asked that question and asked that question over and over again. And I did nothing but sit and breathe and ask that question for about a week. And I was downloading pieces of a puzzle and I would write the things down, ask the question again. So at the end, I finally got something I call an elevator email, which is an elevator pitch in email form. And it's also what I call right asking. So right asking is you ask somebody to participate in a way that it's so easy that for them to say yes, that they will say yes. And this elevator email is certainly a form of right asking. So the way that I channeled it through, I did exactly that. I had everything I needed to say in the space of an email without having to scroll down. I had a subject line that would make them want to open it up. It followed a very specific format. And I used that elevator email to reach out to all the famous people. But the difference this time was, because Who Do You Think You Are? Discover the Purpose of Your Life came from above, right? Came through me and was delivered by God's Spirit Universe through me. I knew the project was going to be great, whether they said yes or not. And that was the difference. So now when I was asking, I wasn't asking from a needy place. I didn't need them. I just thought it would, it would be great for them to be in the book as well. And because of that I really called it the Yes Project because everybody I asked said yes. I only got 2 no's out of 66 people I asked. And those 2 people just weren't willing to be as vulnerable as I was asking them to be in the book. They were kind of closed off teachers. And so yeah, so 64 incredible people were in the book. Um, it was a huge international bestseller. Oprah held up Eckhart Tolle's book about life purpose 2 weeks before the book came out, made it the topic of the world. All the people who were in that book had 10 people from the movie The Secret. And I asked them if they would take me under their wing, like, would they mentor me? When could we start and how much would they charge me? And every one of them said, you're a doer, not a talker. I can tell you'll actually do something with what I teach you. And so they all freely gave me everything they knew about the book business, speaker business, marketing. And I just took notes and had a huge international bestseller. And because of the algorithm on Amazon, if you like that book, you'll love this book. My book was selling like crazy. And then that relationship book, remember the one I told you I had sold 12 copies of? Yeah, that one hit the main list on the front page of Amazon right underneath Who Do You Think You Are? So I had 2 international bestsellers. So everything changed when I learned to sit, ask, and listen, only asking one question and asking that question until I received the answer. So if I had to get up and go out into the world, I would continue to spin the question as a mantra. That way, when the angels are sending you all the answers in a song on the radio, or people are walking by talking to each other and it's the answer, you'll actually hear the answer because you're focused on the question. So reaching out to those people, to those famous people, yeah, that was the scariest thing I ever did in my life, because some of them had told me no before a number of times. And one, I remember Bob Proctor years later when he was then my mentor, and I said, hey, Bob, and I reminded him of the time that we met when he flat out told me no in a way that it really felt like, just get away from me. And he laughed so hard. He's like, I would have never known that that person was you. You could have took it to the grave and never told me, and I would have not thought that was you, because you're 2 completely different people. So right, asking questions, people to participate, people to support you in a way that makes it so easy for them to say yes, and sit, ask, and listen are the 2 things that I really wanted to share as far as tools to take forward with you that completely changed my life. But if you want to talk about when I truly, I mean, really, really unleashed my free spirit, I mean, opened myself up to the world, no matter what, that was when I came out of the angel closet and shared Walking with My Angels, a true story, and share it's my life story and how many times the angels have intervened in my life, and the fact that I can hear answers in real time to questions, and all of that is in the book. And if you read this book and you're still friends with me, then I know we're destined to be friends forever, because it's that vulnerable. It's that truthful. And then we're right at 10 minutes. So just when the world shut down and they would no longer let me do any events, and this tour came to an end because of that. My question was, if I'm not doing what I was told was my life purpose, was to teach this work, then what should I be doing? And then that's when I downloaded, one of the things I downloaded was the Inside Effects, How the Body Heals Itself. So I did do a film. It's free. You just go to theinsideeffects.com, put in your name and email address. You can watch the film for free. And I realized that was part of my purpose, is to help people realize, how the body has the ability to heal itself, to introduce the world to a few concepts that maybe you've never ever heard about before, in that realm. Because certainly as I was interviewing these experts, things came up that I was just like, wait, what? Can you go back to that? Can you say that again? What? Right? So I had to just reach out to those people, interview them, and put them in a film for you. The book, The Inside Effects, How the Body Heals Itself, there's 2 volumes. And still to this day, it's 99 cents for the Kindle and $9.99 for the book, because I want the world to have this information. It's not it's a passion project. It wasn't a moneymaker. For me, it was just me stepping into my purpose and putting that out to the world. So that is my story in 10 minutes, and how I unleashed my free spirit in a few different ways.
Wow. Um, Stepping into my purpose, and from being coming across as needy, and that
Yeah,
energy, nobody likes it. Keith,
yeah,
uh, you explained it because you experienced it yourself. And that, my friend, is the authentic you. And
mm,
that's what attracts. That's what attracts. What a beautiful way. And thank you for sharing the link for your mission. And I was taking notes, and I'm a avid reader. I have constant books around me, and I'm going to India on Monday for 2 weeks. And my biggest thing is my husband was asking, "What do you need?" And I'm just looking at my son and say, "I need to download more books right now on my Kindle." And but at the same time, I do like hardcovers. I like the real books in my hand too.
yeah,
I
me
always
too.
carry them in my purse and all, some because I like writing, and whatever I like, sometimes I'll highlight it. It's my way. It's my communication with the world and the universe. And books I love. So some new books I'll be downloading, the ones you've referred to now, and all the famous people I better read about them, who said no to Keith and the new Keith. Totally new version of Keith, and how did that project became a yes project. It'll be wonderful. So yes, I'll be reading through that, and my friend, you'll be hearing my critiques after I read your books. You've got somebody intrigued, and somebody who is always looking for ways to make this world a better world. And the
Mhm.
only way to do that is, my friend, to make you yourself a better version of who you are. And I
Mm,
think that's what I got from your wonderful narration. Wonderful, wonderful story.
mm.
Wonderful. And I loved hearing what Keith said. When you come across as needy, nobody likes you. But when you think about, ah, let me see how I can give and enhance. But no, you can only do that when you yourself understand your value, your
Mm.
worth, and you feel complete. And that's the time when the world starts shining around you. You create that. You create that. What a beautiful story. Anybody else? Please unmute yourself. We are, I think, a special group today, very sacred group, a wonderful group who understands from the heart what Keith was saying. So, Mark, please go ahead. Please unmute yourself.
Heath, what would you say was the most valuable lesson you learned from all the famous people that you worked on the project with?
Yeah, I did end up with the three mentors I always wanted to this day, except for the fact that Bob Proctor passed away. Jack Canfield, John DiMartini, like they're still mentors to me. And they were the ones that I like to say beat my self-worth into me. They lovingly beat me senseless because they would they could tell I was putting them on a pedestal still. Even though they said yes to work with me personally, they weren't charging me. I had their phone number in my cell. I could call them up and get business advice. I still had them on a pedestal. And they all in their own way just kept telling me, like, no, you don't get to do that. And eventually it was Jack Canfield who said, what you teach, like I've listened to you teach, I've seen you teach on stage, I've listened to your podcast. What you teach is of equal value, and sometimes I think more valuable than the things that I teach. And you really need to hear that. You need to let that land. So just take a breath. And I did. He said, take another breath. And I took another breath. And then he said, you are worthy. Take another breath. And it landed. And that was kind of the last time that I had to hear that from them before it really landed. Like, wow, they all see me as an equal, right? They were all seeing me as just as valuable. What I teach is what they teach. And it really took them leaning in. I mean, they leaning in. A couple of them, you'd never get to see that person on stage, but they wanted to make sure I was going to get this, no matter what. And that was the biggest takeaway, and what I am constantly sharing with others. Each and every one of us, and because I work with so many authors, each and every one of us has our own unique voice. And even if you write a subject that there are a million books on that subject, nobody will ever tell it the same way that you will. And God's spirit universe works it out so that the people that need to hear it the way that you're telling it are the people who receive it, are the people who end up getting that book in their hands at the most perfect time. Sometimes making a profound difference or even saving their life. So it's so much bigger than us, we just have to not allow that little liar, that little voice in our head that's programming and somebody else's voice. It's not our voice. Just to silence that little sucker and step into owning and knowing that we all make a profound difference on this planet, whether we realize it or not.
And Keith, I really like what you said about the shiny object, because I think so many of us forget that we need to have patience and sit back and wait. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, especially for entrepreneurs who are going, a million miles an hour every day, and to be able to just take those breaths, to relax and to wait for the answer.
Yeah. One time during the Who Do You Think You Are project, one question I just asked for 2 weeks. I did nothing but breathe and ask one question for 2 weeks. But when I got that answer, it was everything. It was that elevator email that shifted my whole world. So thank goodness I didn't give up a week and a half in.
Yeah. So you know what, Keith, you touched and you really made a difference in explaining how once we learn to quieten the outside noises we are inundated. We are constantly being told, to dress up like this, to be like this, to be of a certain weight, to certain image, money, 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 and we all have done our share. I literally close. I mean, when I close my eyes and say, I've been the gerbil also. Run, 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 network, blah, 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 business, 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 grow, grow, grow. There was a time my kids would say, "Mom, you come across as used sales car salesperson." I said, "No, I don't." He said, "No, Mom, you don't realize that anybody who comes even 2 feet away from you, you are constantly, because I'm the legal chief, you were the book guy and I was the legal chief lady. Everybody, legal chief, legal chief, legal. You have to have legal chief, you have to." And you know what? That was me. And I was so charged up all the time. Everybody had to hear about legal chief. Not anymore. It's been several years now, and life is even better. Everything is better. I don't need to be the gerbil who needs to run after the money and create more business. For what? I create a beautiful union with myself, but only when you learn to listen to you and yourself. Like you said, the question you keep on asking, close the mind, close the world, and then the answer will come. The right message will come, the right approach will come, the right path will come, and just go and let the life unfold the way it needs to be. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yes, Mark, you want to ask something?
Yeah, I just want to say, Guinea, that kind of dovetailing off what you said, I learned many years ago that you can lie to others and get away with it, but you can't lie to yourself, because sooner or later yourself rebels.
So true.
True, Mark. And on the same note, what you said, I often say, you need to like the person who you see in the mirror, because that person knows you the best of who you are, nobody else. And once you start enjoying your own company and the own reflection, that becomes a beautiful way to lead your life then. Absolutely right, Mark. Yeah, no need. And for what are we doing it for? There are no lives needed in this world more. We have enough of those.
Well,
Just
Don DiMartini, he's the soundbite master, right? He can say anything in like one sentence. And he said to me, he said, when you did Who Do You Think You Are, you had a big why. The why was you wanted to introduce the people in the world to their purpose. And he said, and so that's why it worked. And I go, why? And he said, because when your why becomes bigger than the lie, you
oh,
you have achieved mastery. When your why becomes bigger than the lie, then you've achieved mastery. And I was like, got it. Never left me. I just love that particular one because it's so true. And that's a process that I teach people. And I used to teach at CEO Space, Kenny, at the table, was
yes,
giving people a tool to deal with that little voice in their head, giving it a voice, a name. What does it sound like? Getting clear with all of that, and then giving them a tool to get rid of it, and erase the subconscious mind and to believe the new thing, right? So yeah, so that's like another way of what you just said, Mark.
beautiful.